So earlier today, the Criterion Collection made some pretty big news. At least in my circles, it's pretty big news. Of course, I'm talking about the resumption of the Eclipse series. This is kind of picking up a line of DVD-only releases that they started back around 2006, 07, somewhere in there, and they haven't published anything along that line since 2018. There's 46 collections in all, and this will be number 47, a collection of films, short films, and features from the late Iranian director Abbas Kiarostami, which is a great way to launch the series because these are films that wouldn't really sell well on their own, obviously. Maybe not obviously to some people, but there's just not a lot of familiarity to go pick up those early films as standalone titles. But when you put them together in a nicely curated package with helpful liner notes and just a classy presentation, you just get something unique out of that experience. And that's really what the Eclipse series has been specializing in for those, 12 or so years in which it was kind of a thriving sideline of the Criterion Collection. I have a lot to say about the Eclipse series. In fact, I have said a lot about it. I did a podcast called The Eclipse Viewer with a couple friends of mine, and we covered all of the other films in the Eclipse series as episodes devoted to each box set. Sometimes we even broke it up into 2 or 3 episodes in some of those larger boxes with lots of films. So I have, like I say, a lot of thoughts and even feelings for the Eclipse series. Those are really happy memories of making that podcast. I've also blogged and reviewed most of them as individual films on the website CriterionCast.com. But I want to kind of just show you a little bit of my Eclipse series collection and talk about something I have in mind. So let me turn the camera around a minute. All right, here are the stacks of the films in the Eclipse series, and I'll just move slowly enough that you can read the titles for yourself and maybe just begin to imagine what is in each of those boxes. If you haven't gotten into the Eclipse series yet, I want to do some individual clips about each of them, maybe a little series for a while, as we get ready for November when the Eclipse series comes out in a new presentation. And I'm really excited that Imogen Sarah Smith is going to take the role that Michael Koreski had in the early years of the Eclipse series anyways, when he was kind of like the editor and curator and just really kind of the driving force behind the Eclipse series. I had a chance to interview him on the Eclipse Viewer podcast years ago when the series was still thriving and doing cool stuff. And that episode, I don't know if it's online currently, but we're looking for ways to maybe revive some of those, maybe edit them down a little bit, make them a little bit more contemporary and all that. But there are just so many amazing movies in these boxes right here. A lot of titles that you've maybe never heard of, maybe directors you have never heard of from countries you've never even thought about. But these are deeper cuts, although there are some familiar names. Obviously, Bergman, Ozu, Fassbinder, and many others are represented in these sets. But there are also a lot of really, deserving, great artists whose work is captured here. But I'm not going to get into detail now because I don't want this clip to get too long. But yeah, for those people who are intrigued by this announcement of a new Blu-ray version of the Eclipse series, I'm very intrigued as well. They haven't even released the full list of titles as of the time I'm making this clip. There's 7 that are listed on the front cover of that box, which is still not even listed on the Criterion website, again, at the moment. Maybe there will be something coming up pretty soon. But I'm very eager to pull these boxes out and start kind of telling you a little bit about what's inside based on my memories and impressions, even kind of a reality check. These are films that I really got into back in the 2010s when I was writing about these films and watching them pretty regularly. But how much of them have stuck with me after all these years? I'll be kind of rediscovering some of that for myself. But anyways, I hope you look forward and join me on this series. And if some of you have some of these Eclipse series editions, share your thoughts. I'd like to know what other people think about these wonderful movies.